concerned about trouble and trying to irresponsible, one-sided news stories.
Sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these stories simply aren't true without checking facts first. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
It's Dave and Ryan, and we have weird interference-y noise. I think it's the NSA. If they're listening, they can watch Mondays at 7 for the weekly show. If you want to stay tuned and watch Mondays at 7 on the weekly show, you can click the bottom right of the screen, and you'll get more of me and Ryan, and sometimes Kevin, like we had last time on the show.
Kevin will be on again. He'll
be on again, for sure. I don't know what that noise is. It's some kind of interference.
Is it me? You think it's me?
I like conspiracies. I'm going to say it's the NSA. Ryan, it's been one whole week since we did one of these shows, and I feel like I have a pile of stuff to go over.
I like piles, my friend.
What do you got? You got piles? I got.
I have plenty for sure.
I feel like I do such little prep for this show. I feel like I let everyone down. The only prep I do legitimately, I screenshot headlines for our headline segment, and then I go in completely unprepared every week. So in case you're wondering, that's the kind of show prep I have.
Well, I wouldn't be able to tell. I guess I do a little bit more show prep than you.
I did show prep for about all month so far, growing this little stash out.
I'd love to know
about
what
a month
people
of show
think of
prep.
your mustache. Yeah.
That's for November.
I told Dave that he looks like if Dexter's Lab from Dexter's Laboratory worked at a school as a janitor. It's like the smartest janitor you'd ever see out there mopping floors, making that teacher money, not have to teach kids.
I think all janitors are secretly smarter than all the teachers.
Yeah, think about it. You're getting all of the benefits with none of the children. You could just be like, hey, yeah, later. And then you're picking up all the change they throw on the ground and go to... I remember a little quick backstory here. When I was in, I think, high school or middle school, one of our teachers said that the custodial used to pick up all the change he'd find on the ground. And he'd go to vacation with the money he'd find every year.
Yeah, that's a lot of change.
I used to throw quarters down the hallways. You know, I was a degenerate child.
You would throw quarters down the hallways.
Yeah, dude, we used to have quarter races.
That's pretty wild. I remember one time when I was detailing, I used to do detailing. I found there was an auction car. It was a Cadillac something, and the center console was literally full of quarters.
You pocketed that, didn't you?
No, I didn't keep the quarters. We put them in a little thing off to the side, and I think we bought pizza or something. I don't remember, but it was I mean, it was literally, I don't know, it was like a STS, so it was like a bigger Cadillac, and literally the whole center console was from bottom to top. It was only quarters. There had to have been $30-$40 in quarters in there. I think we spent it at Griso's.
Good old Griso's. Grasso's in the Pew. Check it out. It's a good spot, man.
It's honestly solid. It's pretty solid pizza. I just like making fun of it because it is rather greasy sometimes.
You know what you're getting though with Buffalo pizza, man. Buffalo to Pew pizza.
The Buffalo pizza's good. The mashed potato pizza, it's so good, but don't do it. It's a heart attack. You feel your chest get tight as you're eating it. It's a rough time, but it's real good.
Arteries clog while eating.
You can feel it. You need to bite. It should come with a side of Pepsi and a bypass.
They actually give you Pepto-Bismol as with your napkins.
Deep fried Pepto.
All right, now that we're talking about fun, fair fan food.
I'll tell you what. For anyone who doesn't know this, because it's probably a lot of people, but anyone who has ever lived in Buffalo and leaves, you miss the food so much, it's ridiculous.
You
The
don't miss
food
the
in Buffalo
people,
is so good, it's crazy.
You don't miss the people, just the
I
food.
miss some people,
A couple.
like a couple,
There's like 2 people.
but the food is so much better than the people.
Yes.
Crazy.
It's weird how that works. It's like I don't get anybody that could be a racist because there's so much good food out there, and like all of it's from other cultures a lot of the time. Like
Yeah.
seasoning that you like isn't from like typical Polish or whatever. It's weird. Like there's a lot of Indian cuisine, a lot of Indian spice in English cooking from when they were conquering the whole world, and they brought all these exotic things. So like just basic British food is like kind of has Indian in it, so it's cool. It's one thing I've always said is bring people together is music and food.
And food. So the weird thing is, speaking of race and food, Joe Rogan had somebody on a show recently. I don't remember his name, but I remember he used to be on the Chappelle Show a lot. And they were talking about steak, and this is a stereotype I never knew until this show. But apparently, black people like well done steak.
Whoa!
I didn't know that was a thing. I thought it was just some people liked them. Some people just like rare steak and medium rare steak. I didn't know race played any part in this.
If I have to put my bid in here with a chip, I like medium steak, and anybody that cooks more than that is it's already dead. Doesn't well done is like ruining the animal. It really does.
I'm a big fan of the rare. Medium rare is good too, but if that thing is cool and red on the inside, it's perfect.
Just heat it up. I'm fine
Just
with
barely.
just heating up.
The edge just barely heat. You can sear the edge on like 1,000-degree grill for like 12 seconds. That's fine. Leave the middle alone. It doesn't need to be cooked.
My body will cook it.
My body will cook the meat for it.
I'm a big meat eater, man. I don't know about you personally, but I can eat all the. I've had friends that are like vegetarian go over there for dinner. Eat like lasagna. As soon as I leave, I gotta get a cheeseburger.
So Kevin's on he's an opposite. He's the reverse. He's a reverse vegetarian. He only eats meat.
Yeah, he said good things so far.
Yeah, we should talk to him about that at
We'll
some point.
see, man. Nutrition's so crazy because everybody's different, but I wouldn't doubt it if you could just eat like one thing and kind of be okay with it. I guess I don't know. I think everybody, and that's what's so crazy about diet in particular. I think we're all on this venture to find like what food combination works to make us feel our best and operate at our best. And no one has it figured out necessarily for everybody. They haven't figured out for them what they do, like whether it be a celebrity or like a guy like Rogan, for example. He's on all these supplements and vitamin D drips and sauna trips and mushroom trips and
apparently a big fan of the elk meat.
The elk meat, real raw. That's all the meat he eats is game meat, rich in nutrients, red, super red. High in iron,
low fat content and things like that.
Yeah, super low. They say bison is, if you were to beef is like 80-20 or whatever. Like bison's in the 90s, high 90s for fat and muscle content. So
sometimes when they cook meat like that, they have to add fat back into it, though.
They have to use cooking fat. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
cooking tallow.
Because it's really the fat's where the flavor is.
Yeah, and the fat is where you get the oil to cook the meat to begin with. Like if there's no fat content, it's not muscle doesn't cook the same as fat. Like you need that fat to render down and get you where you're going. Yeah, it's crazy how they go. You need it, and it's good for you. Your head is fat. Your head is protein. Your head's not built on plants.
Yeah, brains are literally fat.
Yeah, fat and protein are. It's crazy that we could talk about this another time. I know Kevin, we did one of our December extra cuts you could look at, that he talked about meat and who controls the food supply, which is filled with some really dense stuff. Kevin does good work like that. But we could talk about the vegan takeover of meat and making it normalized any day. But dude, I'll tell you, man, I need it. I need the meat. I need the real meat and nothing, I know we joked about it before, but you can't I'm not going to accept this as a thing. You can say it's bad and bad for the environment, but it's been hijacked like anything else. Headlines.
Are we doing it?
Yeah, let's do it. Before we keep going off the rails about succulent steaks.
We have to. I feel like we almost need to go off the rails Because it's the only way they'll allow our videos to show.
Yeah, we got to ramble for 15 minutes before we talk, or we're interfering in foreign elections on like one of the smallest countries on earth. Do you know the Vatican is the smallest country on earth?
Well, the Vatican's considered its own country, huh?
Yep, smallest one on earth. Tell me how that's messed up when they're in the middle of another city. So
They
they're their own
protected,
country. They have their own laws, my friend, which means that you can't just go in there. Oh, it's so weird how they got this all figured out.
I have been there.
The Vatican?
Yeah. Yeah, when I was 10, my dad won a trip to Italy. I think when he worked for Firestone. I'm trying to remember the exact, specifications of the story, but at the end of the day, somehow we won a trip through Firestone and we went to Italy.
Very cool.
And he's been back since.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I definitely remember some things vividly, for sure. Like seeing the Colosseum in person, I remember like all of it vividly, and I have a terrible memory. So it's just it's a crazy thing. And we saw the Vatican. Like all the ceilings and the paintings and all. It's super wild, but it's ultra protected there by men with very high-powered guns.
It's weird because the Pope said that we should build bridges, not walls, David.
Yeah, and it's surrounded by a wall.
It can't be possible, David. They welcome everybody in the Catholic faith.
Well, see, here's the thing that people don't.
Do they have a big, beautiful door?
Here, they do have a big, beautiful door. You walk right through it, and security asks you questions, and then you go inside. So it's not, the wall really doesn't keep people out who want to go in there, and you can still get in, believe it or not. I didn't have to climb any walls. I just had to go in through the door. It was really easy.
Legal wall climbers is a door entrance.
It was super easy to get in there. You just walk. You stay in line and then you go inside. Headlines. Netflix removes Chappelle Show after he demands fans never watch it again, which is a somewhat misleading headline. He didn't say don't watch my show. He just said don't watch it on Netflix until they started paying him.
Oh, there it was, the nugget, right?
Yeah, and they instead of paying him, they would just take the show off. Chappelle Show and Chappelle in general were some of my favorite things of growing up. The Chappelle Show is hilarious. For people who do not watch the Chappelle Show, I can still watch it. I have it on DVD. I did pay Chappelle, so I can go watch it whenever I want. But it's a great show. He's a great comedian, all-time great. But yeah, Netflix. What do you got to pay your people? You can't just put shit on there and let it go.
I have a couple questions. Why aren't they paying him?
Because it was going to other entities. I don't remember who.
Because Chappelle doesn't own the rights to the Chappelle Show on Netflix, per se, for example?
I'm sure I'm doubt he owns the rights to it, yeah. But you would think he would still get some kind of royalties to his material.
Well, this has been the whole thing. I heard it put... I will keep referencing this podcast because I think it has phenomenal content, even though it's not necessarily... the Joe Budden podcast is phenomenal. And I just bring it up. I like hip-hop and stuff, but the things he talks about in the industry, like he's literally a guy that is trash talk all the industries he's been part of. But he keeps talking about like the value of streaming.
Yeah.
And he also talked about that when things... we don't consume like media and music and everything is all different now because everything is streamed. So therefore everything is in competition with each other. That means they're all the same thing. Music is the same as a movie now. TV show is the same as a movie. A comedy special is the same as music. They're all the same thing now because you stream all this content. They're all competing with each other. It's not different markets anymore where there was a music market. There still is per se. But as far as like the way we consume the content is all through the same thing, which is streaming. Mm-hmm. YouTube competes with music. YouTube has their own music app for this reason. You know what I mean? So like it's a super powerful point to think about, and to a further extent, I want to touch on this later with the next gen consoles coming out. But video games, video games are streaming now. You don't play games, you stream games. Xbox and the way they have their business model set up, Microsoft's been very adamant about the way they're pushing their programs, and it's basically Netflix for video games, which is honestly a good deal if you're a video gamer. But you no longer play games, you stream games. It's the same thing as streaming a Netflix show. It's the same thing as a YouTube video or all of these things. And it really brings up a lot of questions about royalties and ownership, and especially because the Chappelle Show is so old. It's been on Comedy Central. You know, maybe it was bought by somebody else or some different other company. And so, yeah, I know that Chappelle talked about not watching it, and I've seen all of the things on the timelines of social media about to not watch it. So they just pulled the show in general.
Yeah, they just pulled it off. And the funny thing is, I had it on. I was watching it, so it was in my continue playing section of Netflix. And the next day, it was gone, and I'm like, what happened? And then the day after that is when I saw the headline. I was like, that makes sense. So, I honestly though, good for Dave Chappelle.
You don't need the money.
And honestly, good for Netflix too. I think that was the right.
Say that, Dave?
I think it was the right move on their part. It was a respect thing. Like, you know what? You should be getting paid for this.
Do you think they did that, or you just think that businesses are so social conscious now, or they try to be because they don't want to have? This is going to tie in another point I have. But
I don't think Netflix was worried about Dave Chappelle leading some charge against Netflix.
Okay.
I don't personally think that. NSA, they're back.
That's because I have a headline to tie into that real quick.
What do we got?
Kevin Hart slammed for dressing his kid with a onesie that said "No fucks given," which is Kevin Hart's new special on Netflix. It's in his house, and I saw a trailer for this special, and he talks about how his house is the only place he feels safe now because he won't be canceled.
Yeah, he did. He got thrown out of was it the Oscars? He was supposed to host one of the award ceremonies. Yeah, and they resurfaced some old tweets. Oh no, Kevin Hart, he's anti-gay. We can't have him host the Oscars.
Yeah, God forbid a comedian make a joke.
Yeah.
About stuff that happened, a decade ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I just got a Fox News headline. Mile High Club. British Airways investigates reports of stewardess offering sexual favors. Selling sexual favors.
Something's got to keep the airline industry going.
Hey man, oldest profession still pulling through for us. Flight attendant? No, prostitution, people. Prostitution, oldest profession. Yeah, but I just I know I brought up the Kevin Hart thing, but yeah, I think it's funny we're watching them eat their own, right? These people. Nothing against Kevin Hart or politics or anything. But you would assume that Kevin Hart's rather liberal. I'm sure he's very friendly and everything else. And
yeah, I mean,
they're eating their own. Just like I spoke to you in private about this, and I'll say it again. I know the Rogan thing's pissing me off. It's really it's really pissing me off. And I know that you said that the more he's learning, he's becoming more right leaning.
Yeah, I don't think he's. I just think he's not a super political guy at the end of the day. He looks at things purely from. He's an emotional, spiritual guy. So everything he's looking at, I'm not saying Joe Rogan's an illogical person, but I don't think he looks at things in a logical way first. I think he looks at things as an emotional and spiritual way first. So when people say things like, well, if I could just give up a little bit more money to help somebody out, yeah, it sounds great. But then when you break it down logically, it doesn't work. So I think that's when kind of, two halves of Joe Rogan come together.
You're right. I think that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. I think he's just kind of figuring out, yeah, it makes sense. I know he still definitely likes people like Tulsi Gabbard and Andrew Yang and Bernie Sanders and stuff. But I just don't think he's a political guy by nature.
I don't hate those people either, man. But it's just like, I know what you're saying. I agree with you. And that's, that's the way to look at it too. But it's just like I said, these people, they talk all this talk, and then they talk about leaving the very places that are supposed to be their ideal.
Yeah. But that's
then you
almost-
just
that's
take your
almost-
toxic thinking. I know it's everything, right? It's almost everything does that.
Yeah, but that's almost the point, though, is that when it came down to it, Joe Rogan went, Texas makes more sense. Like, when push came to shove, he ended up in Texas. Because I think he knows in his mind that the way they do things works, which is why people like him want to go to Texas.
God bless Texas, I guess.
I think Texas needs to send out, like, they should do a lot of advertising for people who fled from wherever they went, whatever hellish hole they came from, to Texas. They should slowly red pill them through commercials and Facebook ads. Remember why you came to Texas. Because otherwise Texas is gonna, they're not gonna
Texas
be
becomes New York awfully quick, man.
Yeah. Headlines. This one's surely going to get us kicked off. GOP-controlled legislatures in Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Michigan plan to hold public hearings about election results. So I also shared something in the chat. I don't know if I had it in here. But Pennsylvania's got an interesting thing where the legislature of Pennsylvania, since the election process was kind of, the governor circumvented legislature and changing the election process. There's some weird stipulation where the legislature can actually just choose the winner of the state. I don't know if they will do it or whatever, but they technically can do it. There was a judge ruling that stated this. So technically, Pennsylvania could circumvent what the governor said, and then because of how it was set up, they can just override the elector of the state and just choose who won. And it's a Republican-held legislature. So again, I don't think that would happen, but interesting that it can happen.
So my question to you is, I want to kind of break this down a little bit. These circuit courts, because we keep seeing, I had one that was, the GOP faces loss in Pennsylvania by a lower court.
Sure.
And from my understanding, that when all these lower courts keep shooting them down, it goes to a lesser court, right? And then
they'll send it to a higher court.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then
they work their way up the ladder
to state Supreme Court, and then
until they hit a Supreme Court, and then the Supreme Court can choose whether or not they want to take the case.
Yeah, so that's basically what they're doing, is the political game.
They're legally working their way through the process.
Game.
So every time you see this lower circuit court of appeals rules against Trump, it looks like a loss for Trump, but it really isn't, because he knows where he's going. He knows he's hitting the top, and when he hits the top,
right,
he's got 3 people that he elected to the courts.
Yeah, and it's basically these people know right away that they don't have jurisdiction to rule on such a verdict already. So they can make whatever political charge statement. And I love that, just like people familiar with the matter, we are now seeing Republican-appointed judges, Democrat-appointed judges. Like, these teams matter. Like it actually matters. Someone's trying to interrupt this podcast recording.
Was it the NSA?
Maybe, if you count. What's the guy's name from Tiger King?
Which one?
The I will never financially recover from this. What's his name?
Oh,
the Tiger King. Yeah.
Yeah.
My biological version of that called me. Anyways.
Somebody needs to get him his own show.
I should just hunker down one day.
Can we just do it? Can we just do it? Can we just? Yeah.
You got the editing software. We'll just cobble it together.
That show is Netflix gold, I promise you. I'll pitch that thing to Netflix.
Yeah, in underwear, and he'll probably buy it up.
There's no way people would not want to watch your father on camera.
Like, how entertaining is this? Believe me, it's entertaining.
Highly entertaining.
This is like half caricature and half like fiction.
I haven't even spent that much time with him. We went on a road trip to DC for the inauguration in 16 or 7, whenever technically it was, and then there was like a Halloween party here or there. But I'll tell you, yeah, he could be a TV show. He's a big fan too. He's the number one fan of the show.
Number one fan says we're going to be famous. God bless him. God bless him.
He's going to be famous way before us, I promise.
If anything, we'll be famous for finding this guy. It's like, who put this guy on camera? Be like, these two
schmucks.
This nerdy janitor and this, like, I don't know, degenerate mop attendant.
Mario and Luigi.
That's true, ain't it? All right, anyways, now that the wheels have fallen off this podcast and recording.
Let them fall. Let it fall. Let it fall off. Nobody can see it anyway. They don't let anyone watch. I
have an audience, I promise.
We do, just nobody's allowed to see it. I got way more. We got way more to go.
All right.
Headlines. This is in your neck of the woods, my old neck of the woods. I'd love to have this guy on. This guy is super interesting. NY business owner tears up $15,000 COVID fine on live TV. This guy's a legend. This was in Orchard Park. I think he was on Fox News, and he ripped that bee right in half.
I will say this. The reason the governor of New York State is so critical on my area right now is they know that the largest group of resistance he has is in Western New York. He found out during the SAFE Act, which he passed in 2012 or 13, 14, whatever. He found out then where his opposition was. In the 27th district, which is I can walk to it, is the largest Republican voting bloc in all of Northeast America. He knows where his opposition are, and it's on this side of the state, and the rubber is meeting the road, man. We brought this up, I believe, a few weeks ago. Last week when
it was when Kevin was on.
Yeah. When will businesses be like, no, you're not going to tell me this is private property. That's what they said initially, that we're walking you out of here because of private property.
So just to backpedal a little bit, what happened was a bunch of local business owners got together and basically held like a private protest of these COVID restrictions and fines. And the sheriffs and police tried to go inside, and they kicked them out. They said, no, you have no right to be here. You don't have a warrant. See you later. Nice talking to you.
The health department tried to service them with a, unsafe gathering because of COVID restraints. And
I think it was the next day or a day or two after. It was shortly after he had that fine on his door.
Yeah, once again, these aren't law. I've been telling this to my families. We've all talked about this for the last 2 weeks. They're not laws. They're mask mandates, right? They're not a law. They've never formally gone through our legislature and agreed to wear these masks in public, that it's by law that has, problems if you don't follow. It's just a mandate. These people wake up and say, no, today you got to wear a mask, or today you have to do whatever. Today you're orange, today you're red, today you're whatever. They just unilaterally can do it, and they don't even have to go to our legislature. They're not laws. And tying it back into this business owner, this is why they have these fines on these businesses, because they know they can't attack the individual, so they have to target the business. That's why, they've threatened here, if bars have more than their max capacity is allowed during COVID restraints, we'll shut you down. We'll take your liquor license. Mm-hmm. That's how they're hitting these businesses. And it's crazy because we talked about on this program, all these small businesses are the lifeblood of our economy, and all of this, private entrepreneurship and local businesses, building your local economy and everything. The local millionaires. That's the people that matter, is the local millionaire. And there's only 1 million of them, remember? Only 1 million people make $500,000 or more a year. Those are your local businessmen. That's what's important. And then we're making their life so hard to just get by, that now they're coming to that revolutionary moment. They're coming to the shot heard around the world. This may be it. This gym may be the shot that was heard around the world, at least in New York State when it came to COVID restraints.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely gonna spark some bigger outrage across the country. I mean, I think if they start it there, and depending on what happens there, other people are eventually going to start standing up and saying, "Look, we're not doing this."
It may be right now, they might not, but next month when they're another month behind on their mortgage, yeah,
Yeah, you're not putting me out of business with your mandates. It's not happening.
Yeah. If I can
And
we can go to Walmart. We can go anywhere.
Yeah.
Schools and that other things are a different story. And once again, we've said it here on the program. It's another thing too in itself that the government hasn't stopped. The government hasn't lost money. They still take all of their expenses from us. But they're telling us where they get all of their expenses from that we have to stop doing what we're doing to save people's grandparents. When I have a headline, it's not in this country, but it's in Japan. The amount of suicides in Japan from shutdowns were larger than the amount of people that died from COVID in 1 month.
Wow.
In 1 month. So I'd love to compare those. First of all, I'd love to compare those to the United States suicide rates, which I guarantee you aren't as high as Japan's, or they'd be news plastered everywhere that people are killing themselves in masses, which I think also shows that you need freedom in your life to be a happy person. You need to be able to go outside. You need to be able to have dinner with your grandparents on Thanksgiving. You need to be able to talk to people other than these digital devices. We can't be cooped up inside from a disease and have mandates by people whose lives are not affected by it, telling us what to do. Bill Gates telling us when and when to not take a vaccine when he's not a doctor and he's never been elected. He just runs an organization that is tied into all governments on Earth now, but he's never been elected.
What happened to listen to the scientists? Why do we have some computer nerd telling us to take vaccines?
I don't know, Dave. You're still cleaning schools at night, so I don't know. Yeah, no, right. He's not a scientist. He might be super smart. He probably is like equally as smart a scientist, for sure, definitely.
Yeah, but it's different fields.
Yeah, for sure.
Like certain people can launch things into space, but they can't make a vaccine. The people who make vaccines probably can't launch shit into space. It's totally different stuff.
Right, but objectively, I bet you Bill Gates, out of anybody, has actually maybe had enough time to sit down and talk to 500 people that make vaccines and kind of understand enough to tell me about it. I don't disregard that. My point is the guy's never been a fucking elected to anything in his life. He's just made billions of dollars and then has built an organization, apparently, to give away his wealth. Good for him. Built an organization to give away his wealth like his mentor, him and Warren Buffett's mentor. I don't know the guy's name, but he died broke, basically. He gave away all of his wealth as he made it. He lived great, and then by the time he died, he basically died with nothing.
Well, you might as well, because the government's going to take it anyway. Well,
maybe that's why they do it. And maybe nothing means transferring it to your son so he can grow and, die with nothing as well and leave it to his grandchild. But anyways, backtrack to Bill Gates, pieces of shit ass. No, he's never been elected, and his organization is hijacked and piggybacked into science, medicine, everything. Rebuilding nations, waterways, like everything. They go in there. They provide funding in Africa for vaccines and healthcare and all this. Never been elected. He's never been elected. He just has a bunch of money. The party that hates rich people awfully are selective when they want to hate and love rich people.
Yeah.
Just like Cuomo said, come back to New York, I'll buy you dinner. Well, all the places to buy me dinner are closed, bro.
Did Cuomo say that?
He did.
He said, come back to New York and I'll buy you a dinner.
Yeah, because people are moving, David, because
where the hell are you going to buy me dinner? At the Subway inside of Walmart? You closed everybody.
Well, they'll Grubhub it, so it'll be nice and soggy by the time it gets here.
Oh, perfect.
Well, there's not a lot of traffic because New York's, a standstill.
Static. Hear it? Cuomo's team is tapped in.
Dude, he is. He knows. He knows the power of this program.
Well, if he's listening, fuck him.
And another thing quickly, I want to round it. I might as well just round this out altogether and get all my feelings out here. Militia members, thinking we're going to overthrow the government with guns and stuff. As much as that sounds beautiful and poetic, it's not going to happen that way. It's going to happen with podcasts like this. And that's why you need to become part of December Nation. Go ahead, David, with your headlines. We won't be fighting a war like our founding fathers did. That's what I'll say right now. It's not the same war. It's the information war. Alex Jones was right about a lot of stuff, man.
So, I've been saying this. I feel like the last multiple weeks, maybe 3 weeks, I've said very nice things about Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida.
Might be moving to Florida, man. This program might be a Florida-bound thing like Rush Limbaugh.
We got the ocean, and we got Ron DeSantis. Two things I'm fond of.
And
headlines. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis extends order banning local mask mandates.
Get it, Florida.
It's a reverse mask mandate. It's an anti-mask mandate. One mandate versus the other mandate. None of them are law.
So why are we having mandates against mandates if they're not law, David? Oh, that's right, because they go after the businesses. The lifeblood of our economy.
Ron DeSantis is not a fan of killing businesses.
I wonder why.
I don't know. And he's also managed to not kill businesses, but kill less people than Andrew Cuomo. So that's impressive, even though his state has more people.
Well, apparently, New York, according to the wonderful governor, should be the model of the country. And he did so well that he's actually writing a book about his COVID response, David. So I don't know where you get your information from, but Cuomo would call that fake news. And I also find it ironic that the guy who's king of New York has a brother in New York that's a news anchor.
Nope, no collusion there.
I wouldn't call that collusion. I would call that mob mentality.
So that guy knows
Go
a lot
back
of
to
people.
sleep, America. Your government loves you. Remember, we're back to the old normal, people.
Chris Cuomo knows someone very familiar with the matter.
Very familiar with him.
He's governor in New York.
He was appointed by a Republican. This person was known to by Republicans.
So going from Ron DeSantis to this guy sucks. I don't even know who this is. Apparently the Maryland governor, he's a Republican.
Oh, appointed to by Republican people?
Headlines. Republican Maryland governor says no one has a constitutional right to walk around without a mask. I guess.
Dave, let me ask you a
He's
question.
right.
In the Constitution, does it say I have to wear a mask?
I can't really show you this. What?
Was she crawling on the ground?
She's literally... You can only see her phone, but she's literally crawling on the ground.
I was like, I gotta see this. She didn't even know
I
I
don't
was
know why
here.
you're whispering when I can hear
Right?
you.
It's beautiful.
Like, hey, Dave, dinner's ready when you're ready.
What? Yeah, I see it. It's all right. It's not that nice.
What is it?
It's a coral. She's more excited than I am about this coral, which is weird because I'm the coral person.
You're the coral janitor.
Yeah, that's why we need to go live with Ron DeSantis.
Dave, you look like the guy from Bob's Burger.
I was the guy from Bob's Burger
I know.
at your Halloween party when your father was there handing out delicious Jell-O shots.
A creepy pervert, my father is.
Your father rules. He will be a Netflix sensation one day when we decide to film that show.
Yeah.
On to gaming news.
I'm glad you
Headlines.
brought this up. I want to talk about this.
Wait, well, let's wait because I have more gaming news. But I like this one. Amazon cuts ties with driver allegedly caught failing to deliver PS5.
Yo.
How much do you think an Amazon driver makes yearly?
$16
salary?
an hour times 40 hours. I don't know. What are we looking at here? Like,
He's got to be 50,
34
60.
34 grand a year. 40
He's
grand
gotta
a
be
year.
more than that. If I were to bet, Amazon drivers are making 50 grand a year.
It's 50 grand worth of $500 PlayStation. Is that what you're wondering?
That's what I'm wondering.
Did Joe Biden break his ankle, David?
Did who?
Joe Biden break his ankle.
He probably doesn't have an ankles left. It's the crypt keeper.
I'm also getting reports that Andrew Cuomo was seen in Western New York at his girlfriend's house.
Yeah, I heard that.
And
I heard there was some crazy shit. He was getting snuck out. There was a police escort. Roads were blocked off.
Yep. And right now, he's denying it. Cuomo senior advisor says there was no truth to Cuomo peeing in WNY. Well, let's pull his iPhone records like you would me, government.
Yeah, well, can we see some contact tracing?
Contact trace me, you fucks. You're paying people $12.75 an hour.
Yeah, that's not bad. A little war coral. Yeah, contact tracing. Come on. That's what it's there for.
It's
Let's see
amazing. I don't know how these people, maybe maybe voter fraud really is real and that they've been stealing elections for our entire life, because I really wonder who keeps voting these piece of shit politicians in the government to make mandates and laws that I have to follow that them themselves don't follow. And then I'm told I have to shut down my business. I don't own a business, but people that do. They shut down their business while the government, which is a business, they just take all of our money. They get to stay open and reap all of the benefits with none of the fucking sacrifice or anything else that other people have to put in with their time, effort, money, and dignity and time. And the government reaps all of the benefits. And then these people can do whatever they want. I don't understand how we keep voting these people in.
Well, unfortunately for you, Ryan, your state is attached to New York City. So have fun with that. I think, good luck.
What we should do is employ prisoners. I'm going to run for mayor right now of the new New York. I'm going to run of the new governor. New York.
New Amsterdam.
We're going to cut you off at Albany. I'm going to employ all of the criminals from all of New York State. And if you hack off New York City from New York and have it float into the ocean, I'll give you new amnesty and you'll be given your life back in the new New York.
It's an interesting idea.
Just hack off the state, man.
We're gonna keep talking about your favorite person, because this next one here does include him along with two of my favorites. Headlines: Dr. Fauci, Andrew Cuomo, AOC nominated for Times Person of the Year.
Why are we giving media that is dying? Why do we give them validity? They are not important anymore.
Well, they kind of give themselves validity.
Is that why they have award shows with their own names in the titles, David?
I think so. I think they're trying to
stay... The MTV Music Awards. How do you stay relevant? Well, we give awards. Well, who's the award from? Well, of ourselves.
But
this is the system where
they can broadcast it on their own channel. It gets better.
And then claim tax-exempt status, but organization like a smaller one has to pay tax on it. NPR. NPR. Are you against free broadcast radio television? No, I'm not against it if everybody had free broadcast radio television.
You know what I'm against?
That's a weird thought.
Government supplying free broadcast radio and then them acting like they're not biased.
Hey, and then the people that work at the free government broadcast radio make millions of dollars a year. So how are you making... But you hate the rich. You hate Bezos because he pays no income tax.
Yes.
We can selectively enforce our outrage on what rich people to target.
I got two more.
When you should be targeting the ultra wealthy and not your local billionaire. But don't worry about it, people. Go back to sleep. No. We're back to the new old normal. Your government loves you. We would never steal your country or your future from you by selling you to China.
To be fair, they should not be targeting any of them. Headlines. Big Trump rallies didn't correlate to votes.
David, I have a question.
Yes.
Did the rallies equate to a lot of votes the first time?
Well, here's my question is, Donald Trump just had the second most votes in election history. So did it not correlate to votes? Some would say...
You can't correlate it to mail-in voting because that would show their hand, David.
Yes. Some would say that correlates to votes.
Have you heard this one in the media as well? That people voted for Joe Biden for president, but then voted for Donald Trump down the ticket. Voted Republican down the ticket.
That would be probably the moderate Republicans, the John McCains, the Mitt Romneys.
Dude, I think that's like 0.1% of voting populations.
Yeah, probably. It's probably not super common.
So it's 700,000 people out of 70 million. That's not a lot of votes. It did win them Pennsylvania, though. 600,000.
Maybe. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see if you won by. Which brings up a lot of points, right? Because the election's still not certified, even though they voted to certify it, right?
Right.
Or Biden has enough electoral votes with Michigan and Nevada.
One of the states certified, and then it got uncertified. I don't remember who it was. Might have been Pennsylvania.
Well, Giuliani spoke this week in Pennsylvania, and he laid out a very good argument. I'm not a legal scholar, but I'm very anxious to see where these lawsuits are going. And Pennsylvania obviously is gaining traction with monitoring their election results because they keep flip-flopping. And once again, it's never been officially confirmed. We are only at the media is the one that's confirmed the election.
Are you hearing this?
I am hearing this.
Who is tapping us right now? Wiretapping. People are going to. I hope this is there.
People will hear this program regardless.
You know what? I know something sketchy. Every post I post on here that has you in it, nobody can see. Like 3 people can see it. If you're not in it, then I get at least 20 likes. If you're in it, only like the same 3 people can see it.
You're talking about David?
I've tested it. I've tested it to see.
You talking about David though? Like you in particular?
She can't hear you.
I know. I'm asking you though. Like she means pictures with you in it.
Posts in general, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in general,
dude,
if I post anything with you in it, people just don't see it.
We're getting shadow
Targeted,
banned.
dude.
There's no doubt.
Yeah, for sure.
We kind of explain this
in a foreign New Zealand election. Give me a fucking break. Give me a fucking break, dude. We're so getting shadow banned. We have 33 followers and they're shadow banning us. Click, clack, skit, scat, motherfucker. YouTube's going flat. We need to take them down, dude.
So
they're obviously threatened. If I was Alex Jones, I'd be like, they're threatened by this content, David.
Can we do one episode where we just impersonate Alex Jones the whole time?
Yes.
The reptilians are stopping us. No one can see these folks.
They're turning the frogs gay. My mom's gonna come here like, what the fuck is going on? Be like, I'm just having a mild aneurysm.
It's fine. He's retiring. Is that a headline?
Alex Jones, is he officially retiring? I saw that it may be his last broadcast ever, which was the headline that I seen.
I know he's definitely wants to take a step back. He mentioned this on one of, I think it was the Rogan podcast. He mentioned this. He said he wants to take a step back.
He's talked about it publicly for a while.
It's bad for him. Like his mental health, his actual physical health, it's all declining.
God, that screams.
He doesn't. Well, he's got a very raspy voice, and he's quite excitable.
He doesn't smoke, but sounds like he smokes.
Yeah, he doesn't smoke, but he sounds like he's smoking while he does the podcast.
He's just a raging alcoholic.
He's the frogs gay guy, turning the frogs gay. That's what he's most known for. Probably.
Fact check. If you ask BuzzFeed, it would be semi-true, but they found frogs that were gay from chemicals in water.
From the chemicals in the water. Well, this is a perfect segue into my last headline. I don't know if you have more.
Did you find water that turned frogs into straight frogs?
No. But you will see. Headlines. Study. Trans people suffering because straight people don't want to date them.
Huh.
I don't know how to take that. I don't know if I'm supposed to feel guilty about that.
Am I guilty to have standards? Are you guilty to have standards? Are you supposed to feel guilty for standards? Let's answer that question.
Well, hold on. Maybe.
You should feel guilty for having standards for yourself?
But we all agree that, like, the biology behind this is it's not a choice. It's just it's built into your core. It's part of your DNA, right?
That's what we're told to believe,
gay people are gay at birth. It's just how they are.
That's what we're told.
They don't choose to be gay or not gay. So why are straight people getting berated because they don't want to date trans people? Right?
Are trans people bad liars?
I don't understand. Why am I supposed to feel bad about that? I'm straight by nature. It's not a choice. I'm not choosing to not date them.
Well, since gender's fluid, do you think they're trying to shame you into going to tranny?
I don't know, but it doesn't matter because
why is sexuality confusing now?
It used to be the most basic
Why?
and simple aspect of human nature.
It's like the most biological thing. Like, hey, it moved. Like, okay, something's gonna happen here. It moved. That's all you needed to know. It moved. Or fluids were exchanged. Whatever. That's all you needed to know. Now it's confusing. I gotta explain to my daughter why we got brown and black in the fucking rainbow. There's no brown and black in the fucking rainbow. It's Roy G. Biv. There's no brown and black in a rainbow with pot of gold at. Lucky Charms doesn't have brown and black fucking marshmallows. What are we doing?
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand if all of this. I don't.
Super anti-gay right now. It's like,
you do. We should probably be clear. We don't care. I guess that's probably the best way to put it.
I know gays. I know gay people.
I don't really care. I don't care what people choose to do or not to do. But I don't understand the shaming of people. We don't do it the other way, right? We don't shame gay people for not dating. I mean, I don't know. Some people do that. This is the perfect point, actually. Some people do that, and they're assholes.
To lesbians in particular. Lesbians in particular, I think, get the slack more than anything. Like, oh, you're just like playing pretend or something. You're just playing pretend. Like, no, I'm pretty gay. Like, no, you're pretty pretend. Like, pretty sure I know. Yeah, it's weird. You're right, David. It does happen the other way. But when it happens the other way, it's a problem.
Right. So why is it? I don't know. We've said many times on this podcast, two things can be true at the same time. This is not one of those instances.
You cannot subject yourself to anti-homophobic stuff, but then want us to go along with stuff that you think is a problem.
Yeah,
but it can't happen the other way.
I don't know. I don't know what to say other than it's not my fault. I literally don't have a say in this. That's the end of my headlines.
Okay, I got a couple things. Progressives aren't happy with Biden's picks for his cabinet.
Like his cabinet picks?
Yeah. To be honest, I don't know what I didn't write them down. I just brought it up because I thought it was hilarious. That Biden's supposed to be the great uniter, and he's already got people unhappy.
He's done the opposite. He's made everyone angry. He's pushed both sides away. This is impressive.
Which brings me to my next point about stimulus talk. I keep hearing this talk about stimulus and how we're supposed to magically get money again. Which, to be fair, I did not think would happen the first time, let alone another time.
Have I unveiled my stimulus plan on this podcast?
No. What is your stimulus plan, David?
It's very simple. When you get a paycheck, you get to keep all of it.
Ooh, sounds pretty good. What's the problem then?
I don't have a problem with it. Maybe I'll just mandate that works for me. It'll just be a mandate I have.
But David,
I mandate that I keep all my money.
What about the laws, David? What about the tax laws, David?
Does my mandate not circumvent the legislature?
Apparently you are not the correct person to implement mandate. This is what it brings up, isn't it? That we're not fucking kings. We're kings, we're just not kings. Like, we're all kings. Like, that's the problem in America. We're all royalty. We're all kings and queens of America. We're all royalty. We can own property. We can self-defense. We have the right to freedom of speech. We have the right to own private property. We have the right to be addressed by our government, by their grievances. We have a right to a jury trial. We have a right to not be charged by the same crime twice. We're royals. We're royal Americans. But then a guy who is just appointed by all of us royal Americans just makes up shit as he goes along whenever he feels like it. And then he can do things that I can't do. And then when we call him out on it, they say, oh, that's not true. That doesn't happen. But then it actually does happen. And there's fucking photographs of it. And then they're telling us that this is just going to keep going on and we need to close the economy because we're worried about killing people's grandmother. When suicides are on the rise in other countries that you always compare us to, because you need a fucking economy to have people be happy to do things, to actually give meaning to their life. But you don't care about that. You care about control, You care about exercising your authority. So no, David, your mandate doesn't work because you're the wrong guy to implement the mandate because you weren't voted by the most of us.
Well, then it has to be this way, Ryan. I'm running for
I don't
governor.
want this podcast to turn into me ranting and screaming, but it's we literally. I'm so tired of saying the Orwellian thing. We're in a post-truth world. We fucking see the shit and we believe all of it. It doesn't. The stuff literally doesn't add up in front of us, and we believe it. We see them make mandates that themselves they don't do. We see the private sector take sacrifices and risks that the government sector doesn't do. But then that government sector is telling that sector what to do, which that sector is all of our lives. They're all of our lives. And then we're told we're going back to normal, man. I don't it's bothering to me.
It's to the old normal.
It's to the old new normal. I don't know. It's 80, what did we say, like 77 million people voted for Trump or something? It was over 70 million.
It was over 70, yeah, I don't remember the exact number.
70 million people in America are going to feel like me, a man without a country. Because we watch like our economy and everything else and say whatever you want about the virus. I don't even think the virus was an election question. I don't think the virus had anything to do with anything. We watched a guy pass policies that literally gave us the most wealth we've ever had in our history as a country. And we knowingly gave that away.
Well, some of us gave that away.
The most of us gave it away, apparently.
I will give you
the most of us that mattered.
I'll give you a hint.
And also, this brings, now that Trump has the second most votes in history, does this abolish the fact that the Electoral College only benefits rich, the farm vote and everything else? Because before it was Hillary Clinton had the most votes ever, and then before that was Barack Obama, right? No R's. So now that Trump has the second most ever, well, this silence that we need to end the Electoral College. You beat us electorally, you beat us popularly. What do we? This selective enforcement of your outrage, the selective enforcement things, will be the downfall of public discourse, man. I've been talking to a guy at work. I love him dearly, but he told us it's like watching babies learning how to walk. And he didn't mean no disrespect, but he meant like that. Basically, we're on the right path. We just have a long way to go, in his opinion.
Sure,
but he's been saying that there's no he's basically just said that they're all communist and there's no making deals with these people.
Well, maybe.
I think he's kind of right.
Which people? Who's these people?
This progressive.
The whole movement.
This progressive agenda of abolishing the nuclear family and tearing down America's fundamental structures and everything is systematically racism and a lot of the rhetoric we've seen. He thinks in all the stealing of votes and everything. I'm not necessarily saying I believe all this, but at some point the rubber's meeting the road here when I'm seeing this level of hypocrisy come out of my very own governor of New York State or even my own local politicians.
Yeah.
Like the rubber's meeting the road. We're seeing it with the guy in Orchard Park and everything else. But this might just catalyze. Once again, 70 million people are going to feel like they don't have a country. And that's not always the best thing. Especially now. Yeah. This is different than 2016 when the people that voted for Hillary felt like they didn't have a country. I understand that. But the difference is that the public discourse is only on one side. You're only allowed to be a leftist and be upset. You're not allowed to be a Republican and be upset. You're not allowed to be upset with leftist establishment thinking. You're not allowed to be upset with the progressive normal, the progressive agenda to change it, make it even and equality for all and equity for all. You're not allowed to talk about that. We're suppressing one side of the aisle, and then it seems like the other side takes over. It's not healthy. This is not good, man. And I like I said, I'm sorry that I don't want to make it sound like I'm just ranting at this podcast, but at some point we've dealt with enough hypocrisy from these people. I have a headline here from CNN. Satellite images show that China is fortifying the border in between India and Bhutan, Bhutan. I'm not gonna bother trying to pronounce that Eastern language stuff. So yeah, I love that during the election and everything else, there wasn't any talk of China, and now we're seeing actual. I mean, what other do you call this? William Barr said this during his press conference. I believe it was a month and a half ago, 2 months, maybe a little longer, 2 months ago, perhaps. And he said that China is doing basically 21st century colonialism. And CNN's own headline, satellite showing that they're fortifying on the border of India. What happens if they invade India? David, aren't we friends with India?
Yeah, I think mostly.
Yeah, I thought so.
I mean, we're not.
I'm pretty sure we get Indian migrants here all the time. We're back to the old normal. Go to sleep, America. Government loves you.
We're going to have to open the border up to a lot more Indian migrants with the new game consoles coming out.
I'm glad you touched on that because I want to know why we're talking about a second stimulus check when I looked up the numbers myself. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft and Sony have had the largest and most successful launch of generation console hardware ever. Both Xbox and PlayStation have broke all their own metrics for record week of sale, the first week that the consoles dropped.
I don't know how. It's pretty hard to get one.
It's pretty hard to get one. I thought that we needed more money from my government because everybody's struggling to pay their bills and their rent. Is this a case of the have and have-nots?
It certainly could be.
And it's also funny to me that there was no shortage of iPhone 12s or the new Samsung 20 or whatever dropped, but there's shortage of game consoles. This kind of sounds like it's artificial. What do we call this? Artificial scarcity, I believe, is the economic term. Hey, David, I was wondering if you knew where these consoles are made, because they're in, the
America.
Asian area.
America, Texas, probably.
They are made. Some of them are made in Texas. It's just funny to me that we're talking about stimulus. I'll branch this into my next talking point about stimulus. But there's all this talk of stimulus and how people don't have money. But no matter where I go, every store has a sign that says we don't have next gen consoles. They're $500 a piece.
Yeah, they're sold out. Those Samsung 20 phones or whatever, they're $2,000. Now people don't look at it that way because you just sign up for
you
it.
Pay $20
with your it's $80 or something. I remember it's outrageous. It's like double your phone bill.
$70 a month. Yeah, that's why. This has been brought up. My own family has been like, "Why don't we go somewhere else for our phone bill?" I was like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "They got it for $40 a line." I was like, "We pay $40 a line. Your phone is $70 plus $40."
Yeah, even like the low end phones are $30 a month.
Yeah, plus your phone plan. So you got an $80 phone bill plus taxes and but yeah, you're right, man. Like you said, most people don't pay it. So, but yeah, the $2,000 phone. Yeah, Microsoft. Those Xboxes and the PlayStation are $500.
Yeah,
that's it. That might be some people's rent, but that's at least half a mortgage on a house almost. $1,200 the average mortgage. That's almost half the mortgage on a video game console.
Yeah, and then the games are probably $60-$70 a piece. I don't know if they went up on the new gens, but
no, they said they're going to stay the same price.
I was going to say they're $60 all day on the old consoles.
Yep. Yeah, it's just we can have one or not the other. We can have Americans. We can have Americans. Is this a case of the have and have-nots? Maybe it is. Maybe
so people have brought this up in the people brought this up in the past though. Like the poor people in this country, and I'm not saying the extreme poor, like the homeless people and things like that, but the average poor person in this country is way wealthier than rich people in. We're talking
in
old times, third world countries and stuff, but they're doing a lot better than actual poor people are in other countries.
The statistic that changed my mindset on thinking about the way I live globally, I know it's not necessary, because being poor in a first world country is different than being rich in a third world country or poor in a third world country. They're very different. I understand the struggle in a first world country when we're so wealthy is very hard, equally like it would be living in a third world maybe. But if you make more than $40,000 a year, you are in the top 1% of wealth of global history. Not just now in 2020, in all of human history. You're in the 1% of wealth earners if you make more than 40 grand a year.
There was another study that was pretty wild to me. This was a while ago, but the average person living at the poverty level still had one of each thing. They had a smartphone, they had a HD TV, and they had some form of gaming console, a modern gaming console. It was like 80% or something. It was an outrageous number.
And I'm sure more than that, 80% had more than one thing.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think the study went that deep, but I'm sure it did. Like, I'm sure most of the people with the modern gaming console probably also had an HD TV.
And a smartphone. Which are poor on paper.
Sure.
Once again, it's hard being successful in a first world country. It's hard being the top of the top. But we're already at the bottom, you're the top. You know, and it's it's so crazy. It's just a weird metric to wrap your head around. Like, as hard as it is to grind in this country, we have it better than almost all of human history. All of human history, actually. It's the highest standard of living humans have ever achieved in 10,000 years of civilization.
And over the last 4 years, it went up.
Up on every measurable federal governmental metric, and 70 million people voted against that because they believe the news media. They believe the dying media that believe they have actually worth when they don't. They sell us a product we don't know that we don't need. All right, I got a couple quick points here. The Dow Jones is at a record high, broke 30,000 this month. Don't worry about the small V recovery. I'm sure that will change if we lock down again. I wanted to bring up the Mike Tyson fight. You watched it?
Yeah.
What'd you think? I didn't watch it. I don't know anything about it. So.
Oh, I mean, I think it's pretty clear Mike Tyson dominated Roy Jones Jr. They called it a draw, and I think it was done out of respect. But if it was a real fight, Mike Tyson would have. I mean, let's be clear about what it was. It was a celebrity thing.
Did he look ferocious?
Mike Tyson? He's an animal.
I know his training videos. You're like,
yeah, that dude is
frightening.
There's no way he's in his 50s, isn't he? Isn't he like 52 or something? He's old for a boxer,
man. Something.
Yeah, that's outrageous.
So what'd you think about Logan Paul knocking out that guy? I don't know. He's some NBA star, right?
Yeah, I didn't watch that. I know
guess it was
of
seconds. It was
Nate
a couple
Robinson
seconds
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of trash talking.
The guy's not a boxer. I mean,
Logan Paul's a YouTuber. He plays video games or something.
Yeah, but I think I'd have to go back and double check if this is true. But I think he had
MMA training. I've read.
Yeah, he wasn't just some guy who played video games.
Yeah, from my understanding, Logan Paul has more money than all of the countries of Africa. Dave,
must be nice to not have your videos shadow banned.
Did Logan Paul make his millions in a socialist country?
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure he lives in California.
So yes. To put it that way, then yes, he did.
A quick reference: there's some statue vandalizing on Thanksgiving. They attacked. I think there was an Abraham Lincoln statue and George Washington statue, and they said, "quote Colonists have no place here." Pretty sure George Washington and Abraham Lincoln never were colonists. So, score one, which leads me to my next point.
The dangers of not knowing history.
leads me to my next point. There's a lot of talk going around right now about Joe Biden forgiving student loan debt.
Sure.
David, let me ask you something. If I have zero incentive to lower costs to something, why would I lower the costs? Like, if I'm the only guy in town selling something, like, why would I want to have somebody sell the same items I sell?
You would not.
Okay. So why do we allow the government to give a monopoly to colleges and give them guaranteed money, and then when they get guaranteed money and the price of school goes up because there's no incentive to lower costs because they have guaranteed money from banks that we pay as government taxpayers.
So let's talk about this.
Then the government solution is we'll just forgive you of your debt. We're not changing the behavior. We're just putting a Band-Aid on the solution. Because instead of Joe Biden coming out and saying, hey, maybe you shouldn't have went and got a degree, or maybe we shouldn't encourage degrees of worthlessness, or maybe we should look at college differently. We're just like, you should be able to go to college for free. It's a right for higher education. And the education you're getting is watered down to begin with.
So this is a classic case we talked about earlier about the idea of compassion versus logic. This is a classic case of government trying to help and making things worse. So the whole student loan crisis really comes down to one thing. And a long time ago, the government decided, in order to make college more affordable and to make it so that more people were higher educated, per se, they decided that they were going to give money to people, and then those people were going to take that money and go to the college. Well, the college figured this out and said, well, if the government's going to give them money anyway, we'll just raise our prices of tuition. So then when tuition went up, the government grant that used to cover costs of colleges now only covers part of the cost, and then you have to go get a loan to pay the rest of your college. And that loan is often given at a high rate from a private company because, unlike with a car, where if you take a loan out or a house, if you don't pay on that loan, they can take your car and your house, and they have something they money on the they have.
Are you saying things have value, David?
Yeah, you can't repossess somebody's education. Once they get it, if they don't pay their debts, there's not...
Hello. Say, speaking from experience, $126,000.
Not me, for the record. I have $0.
Cheaper to kill her. You're cheaper to kill her. You got good life insurance, right?
$1,000.
Plead the fifth, just in case anything happens.
We'll talk about this off there.
She's gonna accidentally fall down the stairs, and now Ryan's gonna be on the podcast saying "kill her."
It's just circumstantial evidence. I'm 2 states away. I'm a state and a half away here.
The dream of my life, being on Forensic Files. I would be okay with it.
Oh God, this has gone downhill.
My mother loves those shows.
And see how this works? The government was just trying to help, and now she fell down the stairs to her death. Thanks a lot, government.
That'll sell you the wheelchair.
I preferred the lower college cost before you started helping.
Yeah, right. And everybody wants to go to an Ivy League college, right? That's another problem. And they're like, "Oh, you should be able to go to."
Sure, everyone work hard.
When really,
work hard so you can get into a quote good school. You want to go to a good school.
Yeah, don't worry about how good your high school was. Just worry about how good your school is after.
And then that brings up another question: if college is a must to get higher positions and all these other jobs, you've got to have college. What's our public school doing? Have they done nothing? Is it all worthless?
Like, you poke it, do something.
But yeah, but you can't get a job anyway because they want you to have 10 years experience first.
Yeah, there is a lot of that for a lot of places.
Well, I'll ask this.
It's 2 years experience.
They were to lower the minimum wage requirement, and I could pay somebody to teach him because he doesn't know anything.
Solid point.
Be like, hey, what do you know? I'll be like, I know how to play video games and touch my wiener. Be like, so you have no skills in life? Be like, all right, I'll pay you $5 if you come here on Saturday. Okay. And then when the kid knows something, you can pay him $6 an hour.
Yeah, well, that's the other aspect to this entirely, is that minimum wage laws have just driven people out of the workforce. because people with no skill can no longer get a job because it's not worth it as the private business to pay that person $14 an hour because they don't have any skill. They're not going to provide anything for you.
And you have to give them health care.
But if you can get them at a lower rate, they can slowly learn the skill, and then eventually they will be worth money.
It's weird. It's almost like our grandparents lived that way.
It's compassion versus logic.
Yeah.
It sounds nice to have a high minimum wage, but
David,
it doesn't work.
The exact thing you're talking about built the world we live on. No minimum wage. Built America. And then we're saying that it's contradictory.
It's almost like it's been tried and worked.
Yeah, it got all of us. If you make more than 40 grand, you're in the 1% of wealth in the entire history of the planet.
Yeah, but I'm assuming your first job, you weren't making 40 grand.
No. Probably took you a lifetime.
Weird. Maybe they should have just raised the minimum wage. Maybe they should have just raised it to 50 grand a year. Everyone could be salary.
Dave, I can't wait until I make $1 million an hour and a loaf of bread is $2 million an hour to buy.
No, it's bound to happen.
All right, moving on here. I don't think stimulus talks are going to happen, and I don't think we should forgive student loan debt. I have student loan debt, and you know whose fault it was to get it? Mine. You know who should have to pay it? Me. It's just unfortunate.
But Ryan, if we forgave all your student loan debt, wouldn't you be able to spend so much more money in our economy?
No, I would actually save my money.
My $6 a month payment.
I would actually save my money, David, and buy things cash, like, you know.
Interesting.
You know,
it's a real Dave Ramsey approach of you.
Yeah, because, you know, at one time in our country, people believed that debt were a bad thing, and now we're told that there's good debt and there's bad debt.
Let's say, I don't know, pick any decade in history. The 30s, say the Great Depression, that was caused by buying stocks on credit.
Credit's a good thing, Dave. That was just the bad credit.
Really, that was the bad credit.
Hey, Dave,
most credit's good credit.
If I give you $1 and when you give it back to me, you have to give me 50 more cents on top of that dollar, is that a good thing?
No. Well, no.
Depends who you are. It's good for me.
I would say so. Who's loaning the money?
The world's ran by banks, so why are we making it easier for banks to get our money? Shut up, racist. Okay.
I think that was one of the Biden campaign picks, was a right-leaning banker or something.
It was.
It was like a Secretary of State choice or something.
I'm going to go on record here and say I cannot wait for the news media to love the fact that Republicans are working with Joe Biden to get things done. Be like, yeah, those are the assholes. Those are the ones we don't like. The Republican in name only, rhinos. That's why Trump was elected, was to end this train of thought. But we forget about that. We're going to be told, we're going to have our point of view dictated by this media. CBS News, can couples therapy bring people together with different political views?
I guess. I don't know. It's a weird thing to think about, I guess.
My main question is how come the news spends millions of dollars every week dividing us as people and then talk about ways to unite us through going to couples therapy?
Maybe they have stock in counseling.
Maybe they have stock in all of it, David. Why do I believe these pieces of shit? It's almost like 5 media companies own everything I watch, Dave.
They're doing a good job. They're trying their best, Ryan.
COVID vaccine. I love that Operation Warp Speed, I believe it was called. Trump got a vaccine made, and now that we've made one in record timing, now there's all this talk about who gets the vaccine first and who doesn't.
It's almost like getting the government out of the way made the vaccine work faster.
It's weird. I haven't heard one thing about the safety of this either, and I'm pretty sure the FDA hasn't even... I'm pretty sure the FDA's approved this as well. And it didn't take years and years. I wonder why medicine... David, let me ask you a question. Considering the process was sped up, I wonder if the vaccine is going to be cheaper because it didn't take so long to get it made.
Interesting.
And since it's cheaper, maybe it'll be cheaper on my health insurance. That
Can we-
need government intervention to lower medicine, not open up the free market and let things work.
So here's the other aspect of this. What happened to we're supposed to trust the scientists? Why is the FDA involved? Why
Bill
is there a
Gates
government
would say-
agency telling these scientists what to do and how to do it?
Well, money, David. The
Interesting.
government loves us, though. Apparently, I'm pretty sure we elect the FDA appointee, right? We elect the FDA, right? Right? No, we
Think
don't
so.
know.
It's just
No. That's weird. It's weird. Somebody that tells us what to do that's not
It's
elected.
a
Man, it's
government-
so weird how that works.
bureaucracy just riddled with
What a way to
nonsense.
circumvent the decision of the people. Be like, no, I appoint my cabinet. You don't appoint them. I appoint them. Be like, unelected bureaucrats. I love it. Once again, people, we're not going to be able to go there with guns and take care of this, even though the people in Michigan had some success. Yeah, man, I don't know. The whole thing is just screwy to me that we can have doublespeak that we talk about. They said all election, the vaccine won't be ready, the vaccine won't be ready, vaccine won't be ready, and here we are, right before the end of the year. Vaccine's ready. We're going to administer it at the end of December.
Weird.
Like,
It's almost
that's
like
weird.
they knew what they were talking about, not lying.
It's weird. We were told it was conspiracy and fake news by the mainstream media.
We should pull up some
70
old fact checks on this. There's got to be
70
old fact
million
checks out there.
70 million Americans are feeling just like me right now, that are literally sickened to their core that we got played. It's not going to be good, man. So I'm hoping that these Trump lawsuits work out. I'm really hoping for Trump, man. I know Biden won, and I think he'll be president, but I want to touch on Black Rifle Coffee quick, and then I'm pretty much done here.
Sure.
I was told by a gentleman I know that Black Rifle Coffee is donated and given to like the Obama campaign and has supported left-leaning causes, but he claims to be a veteran. And,
Well, I don't think he claims. I think he is a veteran.
but I know that he faced slack this week because the stuff with Kyle Rittenhouse. One of Kyle Rittenhouse's buddies had a shirt on, a Black Rifle Coffee, and then they came out and and basically said which to their kudos is we don't. I believe they said they don't want to get behind like political speech, basically. Like they don't want to get involved in legal matters, which is whatever. But I just wanted to bring up like the power of boycotts. I'm not expressing to people to boycott this company or anything. I don't know too much about it, but it was brought to my attention that Black Rifle Coffee kind of gives to some anti-gun issues and kind of anti, if you're a Trump supporter, they have donated to people that go against the Trump campaign, basically.
Yeah.
And we support these. A guy like Steven Crowder supports these companies.
Well, they support
sponsor.
him. Yeah, they're a sponsor.
They're actually a sponsor. This is my point. Is like, it's normally a thing that happens on the left, but I, for example, don't go to Walmart for very particular reasons.
The store.
And it's just the store. Maybe it's time maybe that we express that kind of certain discrepancy when it comes to where our dollars go, especially now that COVID has restricted so much that I hope people this holiday season buy from local businesses. And even if you go and buy a gift card, and then give it to that person, they can go buy whatever. It's more important now than ever to vote with your dollars. And I think at some point we have to stop supporting these companies that support things that don't necessarily agree with your political philosophy. I won't go so petty and not eat a cheeseburger because Burger King donates to pro-life groups or something. But, at some point the rubber's going to have to meet the road, whether it's your decisions as a consumer or whether it's as the businesses as a producer. So, my last question.
They're there again.
Did you hold it? Social distance? Did you do the recommended things, or?
It was well, not for any other reason, but yeah, it was just us three. We had a 3-pound turkey.
Nice.
My
job gave us.
It was still a pound and a half too much.
My job gave us a 15-pound bird. We had so much extra. But yeah, we did just us as well. I bring it up because I know that the numbers were low. Thanksgiving is the busiest travel day of the year, and numbers were down. So all the talk of social distancing and everything else happened. But I don't know. They say we're in the dark winter, right, with this COVID stuff. So we'll see where it goes. But that's all I got this week, my friend.
Perfect.
Well, this has been a
What do you got?
premonition.
A premonition?
Of December 1773. I appreciate everybody that stuck around. Stay subscribed to the channel and get the latest content. If you like the video, share the video. I'm your host, Ryan, followed by Dave and his flashy keyboard, as always. Tune in every week at 7 on Mondays.
Monday at 7.
And yeah, we'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody, and I'll talk to you later.
Can we just real quick, premonition? I'd like to read. I would just like to read the meaning of this word from the dictionary real quick. First of all,
running out of peas.
First of all, I don't know how you found this word because I know you don't use premonition in your daily life.
It was stored, bro. This was a stored word.
Premonition, a strong feeling that something is about to happen, especially something unpleasant.
Well, there you go. Old normal.
This has been a premonition.
I'll have another pee next week, man. I'm running out, but I think I got a couple more.
Good Lord. You just called our show something unpleasant, just for the record.
It was unpleasant with a pleasant smile. I didn't say... You're right, but you're not.
Oh, good Lord.
You put words in my mouth through interpretation.
It's your words in your mouth. You put your own words in your own mouth.
Yeah, it's been great. See you guys next week. Later.
I expect a better pee next week.
I'll come up with a better pee.
Are you getting ready to leave?
Yeah.
Ryan, tell them to let us do Family Feud.
Dude, do Family Feud.
Tell them.
With the
You better keep this in your video too. Everybody out there listening to this, you tell Dave we're supposed to be on Family Feud.
No one can hear this, I promise. It is not allowed to be seen.
Dude, do the Family Feud with the stash.
No, the stash is gone on Tuesday.
No, it's not, dude. That's too glorious to give up.
I told him to keep it, and he said no.
The stash is out, bud. This is November only. You'll see it next November.
Did you... When it's a 0.5 millimeter thicker?
No, it's getting shaved Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Coming off.
Dude, go on Family Feud, bro.
So Family Feud, Eve put us in for Family Feud. And she used just outrageous descriptions of the family, which are outrageous, yes, but also true. And apparently you go through rounds, so we went through one round, and then we're on to like the next one where they need us to send videos in and stuff. I'm out.
It would be so fun.
Come on, dude. You do good on television.
I would do fine.
The rest of us would not do fine.
Dude, do Family Feud.
I don't think we're doing Family Feud.
All right, just say, you know what? Send me this thing. I'll give you my dad for the day.
Oh, Ryan said we can have his dad for the day.
I mean, they're already going to question why we all have different last names. It's fine. Just
that's the other thing. I'm surprised we even made it through. Well, we have very similar backgrounds, me and Ryan here, and people in my family all have different names. So the average person looking at this is like, these people can't possibly be related.
This is one family? Like, yeah, we're cousin, brothers, sisters, aunts. Off the rails at the end. I like it. Dude, do Family Feud. People stay locked to the channel. December 1773. Be part of December Nation. I'll see y'all next week.
Yeah, and if you are fortunate enough to see this, it's very important that you share it so other people can maybe see this, because, quite frankly, they're not letting people see this.
Yeah, let's be honest. They're shutting us down, and we're barely even started here, people. We are very small, and they're threatened. They're threatened by this organization.
I'm not sure if that was Batman or Alex Jones.
As Alex Jones Batman. Alright, I'm out of it.
All right, see ya.
Peace, brother. Bye, everybody. Thank you.